All right, chat. Well, I think after a decent bit of preparation, as is typically the case for a draft of ours, we are good to go and have our little short list here. LOL short list for this upcoming draft. Now, again, in terms of the picks and all of that fun stuff and the needs as well, we can do a little recap of that because obviously it's been an extra day since we have played this because, again, had a lovely wedding to go to, so we missed last night's stream. But again, our draft picks this year, we actually have the 4th pick. I thought we had the 8th. That's incorrect, though. We have the 4th overall pick, the 12th, thanks to Jacksonville, the 18th, thanks to the Rams, and 25, courtesy of San Francisco. At quarterback, again, this past year, we traded Kyler Murray, and Kurt Slater has refused to develop a better developmental pattern. So we are looking at probably trading Kurt and drafting his replacement. It is something to keep an eye on, and I'll show you why in a moment, because, of course, Brian Shepard was only star dev, and he has regressed down to normal dev at the end of that season. So we are in the market for our new #1 quarterback. At running back, it is still Cameron Walton. No complaints. He's our guy. Fullback, Drew Carr's back from the practice squad. Wide receiver-wise, literally the only guy on the roster right now is Rondale Moore. This is the year to try to find a new #1 wide receiver as well, which means, yeah. Because apparently I hit a short key that... I just learned I have a short key on my keyboard here that stops recording. So that would explain why that's happened a couple of times. We're good now, though. Will I remember not to delete that first part? I don't fucking know. But yeah, we need more in the way of wide receivers. Timo on the late shifts. Good to see you, my friend. How are you? I hope you are well. It is good to see you. Tight end wise, we still have Bryce Wells. We should be fine. We're good. The offensive line still has a lot of younger players who are continuing to develop. We could get help there if we needed to, but for the most part, I think we're okay. D-line is Corbin Williams, Cassidy Baker, the reigning rookie of the year, which is good. DT, we brought in Devon Hamilton. Linebacker, the left side's looking a little bit weak. We have Malone in the middle, and then Josh Allen on the right, who might get dealt. We need linebacker help. We do. Corner, though, Jeff Okudah, Khalid Callahan. Like, we're looking good in that regard. Haven't gotten to the draft yet. We're about to get to it. And then at safeties, Derek Ridley and Matthias Griffin. So you can kind of tell where our problematic spots are at the moment, which brings me to that short list here. And again, it's not really a short list. Let's be honest. That's never a short list. But I want to go over kind of the prospects to look at here. We will start off at quarterback. These are the 7 guys that I have deemed as potentially worth drafting. And for the most part, they all have some positives and some negatives. Doug Phillips probably won't happen. His medium accuracy is kind of mid. There's Josh Leach. One negative of him, his throw on the run. Paul Johnson, he's a mobile, and his medium accuracy is mid to bad, which isn't great. Barry, again, kind of mid accuracy. And then Donnell Mitchell, he's a mobile. He can't run. His throw on the run is mid, and his break sack isn't good. But he does have a cannon for an arm. So odds are one of these 4 is the next guy. But there isn't that one guy that stood out as like, yep, he's the one. You know? D got to draft a quarterback named Penix. First or last name? So that's the situation at quarterback. Here is the issue. In the top 5, there's one guy that stands out above the rest. And it's the #1 projected prospect. Yet again, horrible draft in terms of the amount. Sorry, the dog's in here. I thought she wanted to leave the room. Horrible in terms of the amount of wide receivers. But this guy here, Zach Henry, 6'3", 22 years old at a USC. He's a monster. He is a monster. He is fast. He is strong. He can jump. He has good hands. I mean, outside of injury concern, he's almost a complete prospect at this point. Like, that is a number one wideout. We will have to consider trading up to the number one overall pick to land him. That's the issue. I don't think he'll fall to 4. So that's the really big issue there. Outside of that, of course, as always, there are steals. There's a lot of players here and there and limited spots. Tight end, again, there's a bunch of stacked players because there always is. I obviously went through that, tried to save time and see what we can do. So I have my short list, but yeah, you kind of know now Zach Henry's the guy to watch out for, and there's a lot of quarterbacks that we're looking at. Let's get into it. Injury is an F, though. Well, that's the problem, right? He is very clearly high risk, high reward. Is that one wide out? Jake, good to see you, by the way. Good to see you. You ever just randomly break shit like I do? Anyway, $121 million in cap space. Let's go to the 2027 draft. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock to start us off. Before that, we need to look into a few things here at the very least. The first, is there a market for Kurt Slater, who does have 1 year left on his deal? We could land a younger wide receiver named Bradley Cheney from the same draft. I think he was formerly a Rookie of the Year. I don't think the Bears have Justin Fields signed long-term, though. Middle linebacker Drew Sanders. $22 million cap hit. They signed him to a big boy deal. There's Jalen Hyatt, who's not that great. Chris Godwin is a veteran. Marco McKenzie's not that great. Sean Harrison from Washington. 79 overall star dev. That's not too bad. Chris James, Michael Gallup as a veteran. Justin Clifford doesn't have a dev pattern. Victor Higgins doesn't really have a good dev pattern. Jacoby Myers. Traylon Burks. I think we have our guy. And then a really good right guard named Bradley Vernon, but obviously we have other options. Washington has Kyler, though, and that is the problem, isn't it? They do have Kyler Murray, too. So at least at first glance, there's not a great landing spot for Kurt on his own. He could be kept around as the backup for the year, and then his contract expires. Josh Allen also only has 1 year left on his deal. And again, when I elected to acquire him, it was kind of the thought of we'll end up flipping him at some point. The question is, can we flip him for anything half decent? There's Jason Hood on Buffalo, so they could end up with a Josh Allen monopoly. Drew Sanders again, but his price point's insane. Christian Watson, Josh Palmer, Braden Smith. I mean, Josh Palmer as a more veteran wideout, but man, he's making almost 11 million bucks at this point, which is that's a decent amount. It's a decent amount of money. Sanders is a superstar. He is, but still 22 million bucks. Like, you're paying him like he's already a god. He's not there yet. Chris James, Jordan Davis at defensive tackle. Give us 2 really good DTs. Run a 4-3. John Franklin Myers has a fun name. DeAndre Sutherland. It's always offensive line help. There's that tight end Carl Briscoe. He's at normal dev, though. Graham Lucas, Michael Booker. Shit. I'm not seeing anything that immediately jumps off the page as yes, that's the trade to make. You can edit players' dev trait. Go to your view roster page, hit edit player. It's in there. Jalen Johnson for these two. I mean, shit, Jalen Johnson for those two would be pretty good. Elijah Moore, but he's normal dev. Javius White. Javonte Williams, who don't need a running back. Greg Newsome. Again, Chris Godwin's there. Wow, Patrick Queen went X Factor for the Colts. Whew. On that contract as well. Wow. That is very tempting, given that he's 2 years younger than Allen. I'd have to check what his contract looks like. There's Nick Backa as a linebacker. Nick Backa, the backer. Jalen Carter. George Blackwell. Calvin Flynn, defensive lineman we looked at before. You know what I want to do really quickly? What I want to do, and I should do this every time we look at potentially trading a quarterback. I want to see what teams I pretty much want to immediately rule off the list. Like, let's get a list of teams that could use a quarterback, and we'll take it from there. So, like, obviously, the Bengals, the Bills don't need a quarterback. You could argue a backup. Denver really does need a QB for the future. Denver needs one badly. Watson bounced back up to an 82. He's got 3 years left. They have no room in Cleveland. Tampa's running with Zach Wilson. They might take that quarterback Phillips first overall. They might. What was Antonio Short's dev pattern? Normal. Chargers still have Herbert. Chiefs still have Mahomes. Colts have Anthony Richardson. Commies do have Kyler Murray after sending him there. The Dolphins still haven't recovered from losing Tua to Green Bay. So they're very much on the list. Jalen Hurts is a 97 now. Desmond Ridder, they won a freaking Super Bowl with him. Brock Purdy, 3 years left. The Giants kind of have a stopgap named Logan Armstrong, so that could be a good landing spot for a quarterback. You got Trevor Lawrence. Garrison for the Jets. He's up to superstar. Again, he was in the same draft, if I'm not mistaken, as our boy. Sharts. Tua. Panthers have Bryce Young, 90 superstar X Factor. Mac Jones, still the guy in New England. Daniel Jones, now the guy in Vegas. Rams have Rivers. Lamar's still in Baltimore. The Saints desperately need a quarterback. Desperately. We sent Kyler to Washington. I also know Sam Darnold's won a Super Bowl in this reality, but Seattle would be the type of team. Queen was on the Colts, so not a tremendous fit. Even Tennessee with Trey Lance, they could look for an upgrade, and the Vikings have Jared Goff on the last year of his deal. Yeah, so the Colts really don't need another quarterback to compete with Richardson. They don't. So at least that particular trade to get Queen will not work, in my opinion. Again, if we were to trade Kurt and Josh Allen together just to maximize value, I can also wait to do this until we know for sure if we want to get rid of a Slater. Slater's just hasn't worked out. He's 24. His dev pattern hasn't gotten any better. All right, so Denver would be the first team. They're offering Javonte Williams. We do not need a running back. We simply don't. The Bucks were offering Chris Godwin. The problem here is I can't do this deal with Tampa. Because, again, they might consider taking a quarterback first overall. If I give them a quarterback, I think they'll take the wide receiver. So I can't do business with Tampa. Miami. Christian Wilkins, it's not worth it for us. I mean, he's a good veteran defensive lineman, but the Giants also needed a quarterback. They're offering Saquon again. We don't need him. The Saints, Ryan Ramczyk. Oh, man. Seahawks with Jamal Adams. The Titans offering Joe McClellan. Okay. Right now, what I'm looking for in trading one of these two simply isn't there. But again, we do have other draft picks. There'll be other times to trade them during this draft. The next thing to check is whether or not Tampa's willing to budge on that first overall pick and if it's worth the cost. That's the next question. We're not trading Khalid Callahan. 4 first. Nope. I don't care how good that wide receiver is. I will never give up 4 firsts. Jeremy Burrow, Jeff Okuda. Nope. Okay. Well, we're not getting the first overall pick. They're out to lunch. They are out to lunch. We will not be giving up that much. That is not a thing that's happening. The only thing I can think, though, is if I... Oops. Okay. That was a nice little menu change there. If I do the 4th, like if I put the 4th there, but then also say the 1st. All right, I can't do a FIDE trade like that. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and see who Tampa takes. I do think there's a really good shot they'll take the quarterback projected in the top 5. Phillips. They select the corner. That I was not expecting. They take the corner, Dominique Boykin. There's no way Texas is taking a quarterback. No way Houston bothers. They have to be looking at that wide receiver. They have to be. Like, they still have Stroud. They have to be looking for wide receivers. Now I could look to trade Kurt to Tampa, by the way. Now I could. Houston. That 2nd overall pick. What are you thinking? 3 firsts. Oh my God. 3 out of my 4 firsts this year. A 4th and a 6th next year. Man, that's a lot, but I might have to consider it. I might have to. 4 firsts. Man, 3 firsts this year. I know Houston doesn't have wideouts on their biggest need. The Bucks didn't even have corner, though, is the problem. And again, you can say, well, yeah, they just drafted the corner. It would have updated. Again, it doesn't show players on the team until after the draft. So, I mean, man, they didn't have corner. They had quarterback on their list, but not corner. And they didn't go with a quarterback. I think they just thought that corner was the best player available overall. So if I were to move that pick, I would be left with the 25th. And would have to trade up later to land a different quarterback as a replacement. That's tough. That's real tough. If I look at the market for Kurt Slater again, and the Bears don't need him, the Broncos. That Broncos trade for Drew Sanders, I mean, he is a very interesting player. He is a very interesting player. It's just that cap hit's fucking huge. There's the Bucks with Godwin. There were the Dolphins with Chris James, but we don't need an offensive lineman. The Giants with Darnell Mooney, but he's older. Doesn't really fit. There's the Saints. Traylon Burks. I'd rather go with the other guy. Another offensive lineman. A deal from Denver makes a good amount of sense, man. They need a quarterback. We got a couple of picks this year, a pick next year, and a pretty damn good linebacker to move on from Kurt, who just hasn't gotten a breakout now in 3 years. How bad's that cap pick going to be? Well, that's always the question. If we trade Kurt, look at this. I want to look at this really quickly. Linebacker-wise, Malone's still normal dev. I mean, especially if we're considering trading Allen as well. We desperately need this guy as a linebacker on this team. We do. Sanders would help a lot, even if the money's a bit rough. How long is this guy's contract? Drew Sanders. Final year of his deal, and he has no interest in signing here once it's up. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. That's not happening. Okay. Am I willing to give up 3 first-round picks to move up 2 spots to nab that tight end? Oh, not the tight end, the wide receiver. He might as well be a tight end with his size and athleticism, though. There have just been so few wide receivers taken. I'd like to end up with both of these guys in this draft. I gotta be honest, I think we have to do it. I think we have to make this trade with Houston. It is a lot, but I have a feeling I would really regret it if I didn't land this wide receiver. I would love to see him fall to 4th overall. That would be amazing for us. But that is a huge, huge risk. And let's be honest, he'd fit in very, very well on that team. They need a good young receiver because now they have Stroud signed until he's 30. I know it's not in their biggest needs, but even then, there's not a center in the top 5. There is a linebacker in the top 5. I feel like we have to do it. Like, we would be hoping that they took the linebacker projected in the top 5 over him. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. It's gotta be done. The 2nd overall pick. We're gonna give up. Oh my god, though, we're giving up so much. The 4th, 12th, and 18th pick. A 4th and a 6th next year. That is... Fuck. That's a lot, man. But there's only one other wideout in this draft, even half worth drafting. That is a haul to give up. 2 firsts, a 4th, and a 6th to move up 2 spots. I have to be certain that this wide receiver is the guy. I have to be. Again, the problem is there's only 2 wideouts in this draft worth drafting, and that's been the theme. Like, very, very rarely so far in this franchise mode have there been receivers worth taking. And like I said, this year there's only 2. Ran a 4.31, 2nd most reps. He's mobile. He's got the strength. He's got the jumping ability. Glitch, what's up? Welcome in. This is what we do here. We we debate ourselves on what we should do with 1 draft pick. It'll take 6 years to make this pick. Again, the concern with Henry is his durability. That is the concern. And the carrying. Everything else looks pretty damn good, though. There's no chance he's going to fall to 4, though, right? There's no shot. How good is Brandon Bush? Just to double check. 6'4".
I'm just trying
great bench, great verb. Bray J, thank you for the follow as well. Yeah, this guy's mobility is a little bit spotty as well. He does have good hands too, though, but also has injury concerns. So go figure. So if we don't do this trade and he goes before 4, we're probably trading out of the top 5. There's a quarterback, but there's a lot of other quarterbacks. It's a crapshoot. There's a defensive tackle, which we don't need. He has less than ideal strength, and he's a little bit older at 23. And there's a linebacker whose combine absolutely sucked. Henry's the only guy in the top 5 that I really, really like, but he is an injury risk. Oops, went to the wrong one. I was going to say Cleveland. Would Cleveland take him? Because if there's no shot that he makes it past Cleveland, we have to do the trade anyway. So that's the big question here. Again, Cleveland still has fucking Deshaun Watson. They do have Tremaine Brock, but you know they'd love... I don't think he makes it. And obviously, if we do trade down from 4, we'd be the ones landing a lot of draft picks. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. It's time to risk it. Eventually, you have to stop trading down. And you got to start getting aggressive with all the draft capital that you have. The 4th, 12th, 18th overall picks this year, and a 4th and a 6th next for the 2nd overall pick from Houston. That's a done deal. We're doing it. We're doing it. If this guy's normal dev, I'm going to fucking cry. He has to be as good as he looks. Zach Henry out of USC. Step 1. Make sure he's at least hidden dev. And he is. Step 2. Hope that he can stay on the field. But he is a machine in terms of his athletic ratings. He is phenomenal. We'll see how bad F injury happens to be. But again, he has good hands. He has the athleticism. The injury's the concern. But he does have all the potential in the world to be one of the top wideouts in the league. We did what we had to do, even though it is a lot to give up. Our next pick is now not until 25th overall. So we're going to have to play this wisely, but even then, it could be tough.